Well, hello from the inside of my Durston X Mid one-person tent. The last video I made about this tent, I had made an upgrade. I had purchased this new mesh inner, the 2025 inner, because I wanted the upgrades that they made, but I did not necessarily need the outer, the rainfly. So all I did was I purchased the new inner and I put it in here because they made it just a little wider, a little longer, added some pockets, and now they did change the zipper, which I'm not crazy about that, but it's fine because I really wanted these other updates, and it was just a little bit taller, so it made for a better experience inside of here. It gives me more room, and I've already taken it out a couple of times hiking and camped in it, and I can tell a difference in the space that it gave by those little changes that they made. All right, the video that I showed where I had added this in here, and I showed you how you needed to, if you wanted to convert the 2025 inner to match a previous outer or rainfly, which in my case was I think the 23, you had to change out the buckle at the top, which I showed you in that video, and also put a different type of clip in the corners to make that work. And then I'm gonna post that link to that other video up here somewhere, and you can go watch that video. But after I did that, I realized there was just a little bit of trouble I had with positioning this inner inside of here, because now that they have this strut, things just sat just a little bit differently. Even with that hook that I put over there, I was having a little trouble with the mesh hitting the rainfly on both sides. But I have remedied that, and that's what I'm here to show you today. So let me get unzipped out of this and show you what I did. Okay, in the last video I showed you that I had changed out they had a clip on the new mesh inner, which corresponds with the clip on the new rainfly if I had purchased that. But because I did not, I was going to have to change that out, and I ended up putting a mitten hook on it, which I showed in the last video, and I used their existing smaller, it was just a smaller loop of bungee, or whatever this stuff's called, elastic cord. But that pulled this corner, and then the opposite diagonal corner too close to the sidewall, and it was touching, and I was afraid that if I had any condensation issues that it would cause a problem, which honestly on my last two backpacking trips I didn't have any condensation issues. But while I was out, I took some cord with me to try to remedy the situation, and I finally got a good length on it that fit just right. And once I got back home, I just swapped it out for this elastic, I guess it's called bungee cord, and put that on there. Now what I did while I was at camping, I left their original bungee on here and then tied the string to it out to the mitten hook and hooked it up until I could get the right length to make this thing sit perfectly inside the rainfly. So once I got home, I removed their original bungee, took the cord off, measured everything, and I just replaced it with this longer piece of elastic cord, which I wish I had just a little bit thinner cord, just, I don't know, but this seems to work just fine. That's what I had on hand, and it works. So ultimately I did that on this corner and the opposite diagonal corner over there. Now these other two corners have the original string that pulls it out, and they've got their, see, this was what was on the other that I took off, the smaller little loop. But anyway, that helps with a little bit of give. Now, like I said, I left these in place, except that I tightened by sliding down the knot where this ties on here. I slid this way to pull this tent a little this way, and with me lengthening that with that little bungee cord, it shifts this whole inner just a little bit this way on this end, and whoops, and a little bit this way on this end, which pulls the mesh away from the rainfly. And it's working perfectly. Now I've got this all tied up and undone, so it's going to be touching right now, but that seems to be the trick, just making this whole thing shift a little this way, and then the backside goes, or the head end goes that way just a little bit. Just like I just took the whole thing and went joop, like that. That seems to be working. I'm going to continue using it like this, and if I need to make any changes, I can change the length of that if I need to move some more. And I can also tighten that, pull that knot down and tighten that some more if I need to pull that. But right now, it seems to be fitting just fine, and I'm really pleased with it. I'm really thankful I made the upgrade because it does give a significant amount of extra room with the length and the width. Another thing I think I talked about in that video is how the zippers meet here in this little, I call it the parking garage for the zippers, and how once they were in there, you couldn't tell which line went to which zipper. They were both this black color. I swapped out the one that goes vertical with this brighter cord, so I know this one is always the one I grab to pull upwards, and this will be the one that goes horizontally. Did that on both sides. Oh. So now I can easily see that. Even in the dark, I'll see that that's a good bit lighter, and I know which one goes up and which one goes horizontal. Overall, I am just thoroughly pleased. I was able to, you know, another concern in that other video was I wasn't sure how much weight this could handle as far as sagging, and so I put mostly, well, at the foot end I put some clothing in here, just things that were real lightweight, and then up by my head I was thinking I was going to put my phone in it, but I think I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to lay it down flat next to me. It's got to be plugged into my battery bank anyway, and I don't think the weight of the battery bank and the phone in this mesh pocket would be, I mean, it won't hurt anything. It's just, I'm afraid it'll just do this saggy number, which it would annoy me, being that, like I said, it would be on the head end, and I'd just be kind of droopy and saggy and kind of irritating. So anyway, I ended up just putting my phone on the floor on top of my battery bank, and then other lightweight things. I did put my headlamp in here, my contacts, I've got eye drops that I got to take every night or use every night, and just other things like that that I can get to easily. So they don't roll around on the floor and get lost and up under my sleeping pad. But anyway, I thought I'd just get on here and show you the update to that. And if this is something you're wanting to do to change out your inner mesh, but don't want to really necessarily upgrade the rain fly just yet, this is an option. It works very well. You'll just have to lengthen that, shorten that cord that runs from the strut, and it works very well. And you can change the height of this. There's a buckle with this strap. I don't know if you can see that right there. You can tighten, you can bring this up some more or lower it. That's something I did have to tinker with just a little bit, because I had it kind of cranked up all the way, and it did pull this up against that a little bit more. So once I loosen that a little bit, it let this drop down, and it's not saggy or anything. And really, once you get your all your gear in here, you know, I know people are posting about how they're concerned that when they set this up, the corners are maybe floating up, and they just don't see how it's going to work out. But once you get your stuff in here, all this pulls back down. You know, all this side. I'm sorry, there's sweat everywhere. It is so hot where I am. It's everywhere, and I'm dripping. But anyway, once you get all your items in here, all this lays back down, and it's not an issue. You don't see that floating floor. It'll all work out. All right, I hope this helps. I hope this just kind of gives you a general idea how you can work with this to make it fit just right. I appreciate y'all following along. I appreciate all you that have subscribed to my channel and continue to follow me and support me along the way. And I ask that you, if you would, you know, put a like on this video. That does help me. And if you have any friends or family that are interested in the type of stuff that I do, if you would recommend my channel to them, ask them to subscribe, that would be awesome. I hope my content is worthwhile. All right, we will see y'all later. Y'all stay wild.